So next up, we have a special speaker, Cora. I actually don't even know your last name, Cora. But Cora is going to come talk to us about informal worker organizing.
Hey, I would be doing that in 7-inch heels.
Hi everyone, how's it going?
Well, I'm here today talking about informal organizing, so this is an informal speech. So this is my first time. I'm shy. It seems really loud up here. So this is my first time appearing at an event in Colorado Springs. I am the co-founder of the Lysistrata Mutual Care Collective and Fund, which is a nationally operating online-based sex worker activist cooperative that provides emergency funds for workers in crisis. I'm also a co-founder of the Rocky Mountain Sex Worker Coalition, which is a coalition of peer-led sex worker orgs based in Colorado. So, a lot of times we get left out of conversations about workers' rights and most other sort of like human rights conversations. Sorry, I've got post-COVID lungs. Getting up here was hard work. But I think that sex worker organizing has a lot to teach organizing in other less formal working environments. So a lot of challenges that we face as sex worker organizers include criminalization. Even if we are not working in a directly criminalized part of the industry, we often find that criminalization starts when we start doing labor organizing, when we start working or organizing in groups, and then like everything else, you know, like if you are houseless or trans or a person of color, you're going to be more affected by criminalization. So sex workers' issues are immigrants' issues. Sex worker issues are racial justice issues. Sex worker issues are issues with the police state, with the capitalism, with patriarchy. And often, you know, sex worker rights issues come from other discrimination that people face in other industries. So I actually started organizing accidentally, doing work at the intersection of sex work and nightlife, where I also worked as a bartender for a very long time. So a lot of the organizing that we do now grew out of informal events. We were doing service industry after hours. We were doing things that didn't seem threatening to the owners of our establishments, you know, Facebook groups, social outings, getting people together for drinks after shifts that went a long way towards providing a foundation for doing more formal community care-based organizing, but started out in a very loose way. So I usually am a little bit resistant to more formal organizing. I don't like you know, showing up to events that are based on inaccessible language, on studying white guys who stole most of their ideas from indigenous cultures anyway. You know, so I'm really big on the understanding that people know based on shared lived experiences what we're up against. And often, you know, in more informal settings, a lot of people are more comfortable getting together and identifying, you know, what are common things that we are facing, and what are things, even, you know, if we share some similar identities as workers, do we maybe need some more specialized organizing around? You know, most of the groups that I work with include people from a very wide variety of backgrounds and experiences in the industry, and often we find that people often feel that there's a need for more specific community based around other marginalized identities, which I think any large inclusive group should be fostering the foundations for as much as possible, as a basic part of the work that they're doing. And I also feel like there are a lot of ways that we can be uniting in broader coalitions as criminalized people, as workers, and especially when I look at crossover between like the cannabis, the service industry, and the sex industry, we see, you know, these three areas where we're essentially dealing in unequally criminalized substances, technically, you know, which include alcohol, cannabis, or in the case of sex workers, generally like femme-perceived bodies. So I think, especially what I would love to see in Southern Colorado, because there are not a lot of people who are out about their experience in the industry here, would be, really like seeing larger groups of criminalized people coming together and finding, ways that we can be working together as a large group to be passing things like repealing discriminatory laws and reallocating those funds towards community services, things like that. And also, as we talk about the roots of May Day in European cultures and sing our workers' tunes, especially like in our workers' rights movements, we always have to really acknowledge the differences in circumstances a lot of us have and how we got here. I am technically a fourth generation Colorado colonizer, based on how my family members came to be here. So, many of us who are white folks living in Colorado have to consider how our identities as workers are also tied up as identities as colonizers, and how limiting, basing so much of our energy around work-based organizing is to having, a more holistic view of how we can be working together as humans and where we need to be giving rights back to the rightful owners of this land. Because, even the Union tunes we were just listening to, a lot of us came here building railroads, doing these things as tools of colonization. Even, our poor Irish immigrant families came here following the Trail of Tears. So I'll leave that there. I would like it for us to be able to grow beyond just our identity as workers, to be able to come together and really make some change in Southern Colorado. Thank you so much.